everyone, this is Laura Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and this is the third video on this series on parenting internet kids, or how to raise kids in a digital world. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of technology and what we can do about it. Today we'll be focusing on some of the bad things that technology has brought into our lives. So at this point in the workshop, I usually play the video of why Louis C.K. hates cell phones. Louis C.K. is one of my favorite comedians, and I consider him a modern philosopher. So maybe you've already seen this, but if you haven't, stop this video now and check the notes section for a link to his 5-minute video. Or you can just search YouTube for Louis C.K. hates cell phones. The video is a little dated since it was done several years ago. Now it's less a matter of whether to give your kids a cell phone and more a matter of how much access they have. Even so, it is excellent if it's a bit profane. So, just as Louis C.K. mentions, one of the downsides of always available cell phones and internet is that there is no time for boredom or downtime. So some of you may think of this as a benefit, but just hear me out. Some of the benefits of doing nothing, just think about it. That's the time you can just be. You can figure out what you think, who you are, what matters to you most. Teenagers between the ages of 11 and 13 in particular are forming their identities. How can they possibly figure all of this out with the constant noise of their peers and popular culture? Plus, just think about your own childhood. Boredom was the mother of creativity and ideas. If we were presented with constant entertainment, we would never have made up games or found secret hiding spots or really done half the things I remember doing as a kid. It also gives us some time to think of and pursue new goals, to actively engage with life rather than passively consume it. If you ask kids today, they tell you they're great at multitasking, and you can watch them do it. As they're watching a show on Netflix, they're also checking their snaps and playing a video game all at the same time. What they don't know is that the productivity they believe they're achieving by multitasking is a complete fantasy. Our brains aren't computer processors that can handle all those parallel streams of data. We have to switch our attention rapidly back and forth, and that takes a toll on our focus on each task. It makes our attention shallow, and then we start to lose the ability for deep, probing thought. So, constant internet access eliminates boredom and downtime. What else? It also handicaps us socially. If we constantly choose online interactions over face-to-face interactions, some of our social skills start to atrophy. How? Well, here's an obvious one. We aren't as good at picking up nonverbal cues. We can't tell as easily if someone is lying, if someone really likes us, or if someone's threatening us. We also aren't as good at reading emotions. A study was conducted that tested kids on their ability to read emotions accurately. So after they took devices and cell phones away for 5 days, those kids tested much better. Lastly, we lose our ability to empathize with others. A study showed that kids today are 40% less empathetic than they were just 10 years ago. I'm not sure exactly how they measured empathy, but what it means in real world terms is that kids are meaner, they are less interested in others, and they are more self-absorbed. So now we have less boredom and weaker social skills. What else? Well, anyone who has spent any time online or with teenagers knows that social media turns up the volume on drama. Why? Well, there are a bunch of reasons. Anything positive online is just seen as neutral. Anything neutral is seen as negative. I'm not sure why exactly, but it probably has something to do with the exaggerated nature of online speak. So a girl comments on a friend's Instagram photo, gorgeous. This is just seen as normal. All girls are required to say over-the-top stuff about each other. But if someone says, nice dress, that might be seen as a dig or a burn. So some of this goes without saying, but social media does have a disinhibiting effect. People say stuff online that they would never say to your face. Also, the pile-on effect is very easy online. If one commenter says about a photo, that skirt is kind of short, isn't it? It's easy for others to agree and pile on with very little effort, just a couple of keystrokes. Anybody who has felt this in real life knows how terrible it feels. We call this ganging up in our house, and it is strictly prohibited. Also, conflicts that start online go seamlessly to real life interaction and back again, so that it seems like you can never escape. If someone was tormenting us at school, we used to be able to go home and escape it, at least for a little bit. Not so for these kids unless they unplug altogether. And of course, FOMO, the fear of missing out. Are all your friends getting together without you? Is everyone at a giant fun party that you haven't been invited to? This is in no way limited to teenagers. I confess to falling into a FOMO funk after viewing Facebook photos about an event I didn't get an invite to. It's possible that didn't happen just once. Okay, so now we have no boredom, social skills handicap, and drama. How about the values and priorities that are promoted online? Are these the ones that you want to instill in your kids? This is the area that makes me the most nervous. So, value number 1, superficiality. It's a factor of an already highly visual media, made worse by the fact that many social media platforms focus entirely on images to communicate, like Instagram. There's an extreme focus on appearance and how things seem on the surface. Which brings us to value number 2, materialism. This is different but related to superficiality. This is focused on brands and buying things. Social media is dominated by acquiring things and products, either directly from the companies in the form of advertisements or by YouTube stars who are promoting products like in makeup tutorials, or the whole category of unboxing videos where people buy things and then open them up on video. Value number 3 is comparison. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Isn't that the truth? Particularly when you're comparing your own very real, messy world that you know well to everyone else's slick, branded online life that they're presenting. There's just no way to feel good about that. And value number 4 is narcissism. This is the counterpoint to empathy. The stuff that is rewarded online is attention getting, fame, selfies, and entire focus on self. Maybe you can do this and still have room to care about other people, but a big part of your energy is focused on promoting yourself. So the last area of bad stuff that arises from too much internet consumption is the rising addiction. The latest diagnostic manual for psychological disorders now has this listed under internet gaming disorder. It's also known as compulsive internet use, or CIU, which may be more accurate since it isn't only limited to gamers. Here are some of the symptoms, and as you listen to this list, think about any other behavioral addiction like food, sex, or gambling. So here's the list: excessive use, withdrawal, tolerance, and negative repercussions. Internet use taps into our reward system. Every time we get a tritone, doo-doo-doo sound from our phone, we get a hit of dopamine. We can't help but check, like a rat, pushing a lever for food. A study showed that we check our phones 150 times a day, and I think that might be a little bit on the low side. Some studies also say that internet use is rewiring our brains. I have to say the literature on this is a little bit mixed. Some studies have shown that long-term excessive usage has caused damage to the prefrontal cortex, which is where we do planning, cognitive control, and emotional regulation. I should also point out that there are other studies that show non-excessive internet use increases some cognitive abilities. So the studies are a bit of a mixed bag. What we do know is that internet addiction recovery centers are popping up all over the country. This is clearly a growing issue. Okay, so we just covered some of the bad stuff that comes with too much internet use. No boredom, social skills handicap, drama, values and priorities, and internet addiction. Join me in part 4 when we talk about the ugly part of the good, bad, and the ugly. Thanks for watching.